5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everyone. My name is Daryl Jones. I'm the chairman of the board of the Transformative Justice Coalition, and we're so excited to have everyone join us here today as we kick off this press conference announcing the Arc of Voter Justice Tour that is going to be lifting up voters throughout the United States to excite them and to bring them to this midterm election time, because it's election season, and that's what this Arc of Voter Justice Tour is focused on. You know, we are so fortunate to have so many excellent partners that are working with the Transformative Justice Coalition and the National Newspaper Publishers Association and Black Voters Matter, as well as just the Legal Women Voters and the National Coalition of Concerned Black Men. There's so many, Rainbow Push Coalition, and the list just continues to grow and go on and on and on. And we will be providing you more information with regard to all of our national sponsors. But let me tell you, nothing is more important than our local sponsors. Our national sponsors will get it out, but we have local sponsors in each of the locations that the Votercade will be going through, which is just incredible. And you're going to hear information from this press conference today that is not simply going to talk about these buses, and you'll have a chance to see the bus that's going to be going around, the buses that are going to be going around the country, but you're also going to have an opportunity to learn and hear about another issue that runs adjacent to the voting issue, and that is dealing with banned books. And that's going to be just an exciting part. Let me tell you, I can guarantee you, I've asked Dr. Barbara Arnwine, I've asked Dr. Ben Chavis, they both have said they have never seen anything like the Arc of Voter Justice Tour that is about to kick off this Saturday. So with that, I wanted to bring up for some understanding about this concept, this Arc of Voter Justice concept that is out there. Dr. Ben Chavis, he's a person that he knows a little thing about voting. He knows a little thing about civil rights and being in the movement and organizing. He's the former president of the national president of the NAACP. He's current president of the National Newspaper Publishers Association. You know, he's been a political prisoner. Environmental justice has been his thing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Benjamin Chavis.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're very pleased to be here on behalf of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, the Black Press of America. We represent 235 African-American owned newspapers and media companies throughout the United States. And we're just overjoyed to have an opportunity to work with the Transformative Justice Coalition and all the other partners to launch the Arc of Voting Justice Tour. The midterm elections are just a few weeks away, and we're going to go to all the major states, not only swing states, but states that we know we can make a difference in terms of voter registration, in terms of voter turnout. This tour is designed to make sure that we awaken a lot of the sleeping giants in our nation, communities, congressional districts. We believe we can get, in the Black community, 10 million more Black people to vote. That's a big number.
Yes.
That number will make a difference in Minnesota, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in Maryland, in DC, in Virginia, in South Carolina, and Florida, make a difference in Texas, make a difference in Georgia. All these important states, Ohio, I don't want to leave Ohio out. So one of the things I just want to say that from our perspective, the Black press, all of our newspapers across the country are having this on their front page.
Yes.
Not just for one run, but every week up until November 8th for the election. We support this. A lot of our publishers will be coming on the tour from various stops.
Yes.
And we're encouraging also millennials. We also have been in touch with all of the HBCUs in the areas where the tour will be going, and they will also be turning out. We have an affiliates with our college newspapers at HBCUs, and they're also going to be drumming up. So listen, let me just be very succinct. Democracy is on the ballot
Well,
on November the 8th. Racial justice is on the ballot on November the 8th. Climate justice is on the ballot on November the 8th. Environmental justice is on the ballot on November the 8th. Economic justice and equity on the ballot on November the 8th. Preventing far right-wing groups from banning books
my.
is on the ballot on November the 8th. We have work to do, and that's what this tour represents. It's a mobilizing tour. It's a consciousness-raising tour. And it's been our experience. When these bus tours go through our communities, it's not a drive-by. It has engagement. It has responsiveness to people in the community. As Barbara and Darrell will tell you, we're getting calls from all over the country wanting to know if the bus tour can make a detour to come by their state, their congressional district. So this is a national effort to get out to vote. This is a national effort to make sure that we override these voter suppression tactics.
That's right.
In many of the states, they're trying to prevent people from voting, trying to prevent people from participating in civic engagement and making our democracy strong. I'm optimistic. I think all the pundits that were predicting low voter turnout in our community, they don't know our community. And one of the things that we have a lot of roots dealing with all of the grassroots organizations. I'm glad Darrell mentioned that. We can give you the list of our national organizations.
Yes.
But what makes it powerful are the thousands
Yes.
of local organizations,
Yes.
thousands of grassroots organizations
Yes.
who have responded to the national call. This is a great day. And I think that when those buses start rolling on Saturday and we end up in Jacksonville, Florida, some weeks from now, we would have made a major contribution to ensuring that in our communities, Black and brown communities, we want the largest voter turnout in the history of America. It's a challenge, but we believe we can pull it off. Our hashtag is hashtag 10 million more Black voters. Hashtag 10 million more Black voters. We got work to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chavis. And you're 100% correct when you indicate that the prognosticators are saying that the Black millennials, Black Gen Zers are going to sit this one out. They also said that in 2020.
Right.
That Black folks weren't going to show up to vote.
That's right.
And they came out in record numbers.
Right.
Record numbers. And a large part of it was due to the fact with organizations that got on the ground and got people excited and started offering free food, free drinks for folks to come on out and be a part, to the point that they did what? They said, we're going to outlaw it now. Can't give anybody anything for the long lines that we've created. But we're really excited to have leaders like Barbara Arnwine, who is the President Emeritus of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, that says, I see your challenge and I'm going to raise you victory. And that's what she did with regards to Georgia. That's what she's doing now with regards to this arc of voter justice tour. And let me tell you, she will be at each of the 26 cities that this tour goes through. She will be all of the 14 states that this tour goes through. And now my understanding is that since they now have gotten to the point where they said, some of the places we don't want you to feed people, she's going to raise it to another level. So now we're going to have a hoop bus that's going to go to all these places, beginning on the 13th in Philadelphia. The hoop bus is a bus that is designed and has a basketball hoop on the front of it, and it says Black Lives Matter, encouraging people to vote. So as the hoop bus will follow the voter cave, folks are going to be saying, get on the bus and come with us, and let's go vote. Wait for them to outlaw that one next. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce the founder and president of the Transformative Justice Coalition, Barbara Arnwan.
Wow. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
What a pleasure it is to be here to launch the 10 million more Black voters Arc of Voter Justice Tour. Oh my goodness, it's an exciting, absolutely thrilling morning because in 2 days, we will be rolling out around this country are 2 beautiful, gorgeous 10 million more Black voter buses that are on their way right now. I got a notice in my phone this morning saying, your buses are on the road heading to Minneapolis. And in Minneapolis, the people there are ready for us, as they are ready for us in Milwaukee, as they are ready for us in Kenosha, as they are ready for us in Chicago, as they are ready for us in Ypsilanti, in Kalamazoo, in Detroit, in Toledo, in Cleveland, in Pittsburgh, as they are ready for us in Philadelphia, as they are ready in Baltimore, as they are ready in Annapolis, Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, Loudoun County, Richmond. Oh, Richmond's already calling on like crazy because they are so excited. We're then going to go to North Carolina, and we're going to do Raleigh and Wilmington. And Wilmington, of course, told us, don't even show if you don't bring Ben Chavis. Because he is their hero. We're going to leave Wilmington and we're going to go to South Carolina, down to South Carolina State, and then over to the good old Charleston, down to Savannah, down to Brunswick, through Camden County, and then we're ending in Jacksonville. People are ready. We're saying, people get ready. There's a tour coming. You know, when I was speaking to Andy Young about the tour, he said, Barbara, you guys are doing, you're following in our footsteps.
Yes.
And he said, I couldn't be prouder. So I'm so surprised. I just didn't think people would do something like this. And I said, you know, we are ambitious. We are visionary. We are in it to win it. And we are going to ensure that African-American voters know about November 8th. We don't want to hear about people that know that there was an election because all the money that is spent on presidentials are not spent for more midterms. We want to make sure that we, by going through those communities, are able to stimulate, inspire, and motivate voters. So what we're doing in each community is we're not just going to go and have a rally. We're doing a votercade. We're going to the lowest turnout districts in the cities, in the counties, in the parishes, in the townships. And we're saying, vote. We want you to vote. Your vote counts. It's important. And do you know that when we do these votercades, some of these counties or some of these areas are so neglected because people don't expect them to vote that there's not even a campaign sign to be found from any candidate. That we've gone into areas where people have never been asked to vote. So it is critical that we get the word out. So in every single 26 plus locations, yes, I said plus locations, because every time we meet, another one pops up because people want this tour so bad. I say people got the tour fever and they got the banned book fight fever. And so those two things have converged in this tour. So what we're going to do as we votercade, as we make people aware, as we inspire people, and Daryl will tell you that oftentimes when we do the votercades, people will turn their cars around and follow us to the polls. Because we like to go by polling sites, and half of the states that we're visiting are doing early voting. And we're so excited. We hit on Iowa, they would have just started early voting. When we get into a whole lot of the other areas, they're just so excited because it's an opportunity to get people to come to the polls. We believe, unlike a lot of folks, a lot of people feel like voting is a burden. They talk about it as an obligation. Well, we believe that voting is a celebration. Because if this nation is a democracy, a Republican-style democracy, then it is built on the principle that everyone's vote counts. And we want people to feel that when they vote, they ought to celebrate because they are exercising the most fundamental, most critical right and privilege of being a citizen in this country, and that is the right to vote. So we call it a celebration. So every time we do a votercade, we did have a celebration village. And the celebration village is for voters and non-voters alike, meaning children come, young, people who are thinking about voting come to check us out, to find out what this is about. And we have had such success. In one city that we went to, the mayor actually told us that the voting turnout doubled after our votercade. That he was so shocked. We went to another area, the poorest zip code in the good old Milwaukee, and in one of the fifth, I think, poorest in the nation. And they had such a little small polling site because they didn't expect anybody to turn out. But when we finished with the votercading, the African drummers, all of the excitement, the hoop busts, by the time we got there, they had more people vote in that one day after the votercade than they had vote typically the entire early voting season. That's how powerful this is. And that's why we are committed to doing this. Everywhere right now, our people are planning, they're moving. Last night, they were on the phone from Jacksonville until 8:30. People are working hard. They are excited about this. The excitement is severe. It's strong, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. So the last thing I want to say, because I love all our partners in the room, we've been in this fight. We're not through. We will never be through until we have a truly representative democracy. We'll never be through until we have the voting rights laws we need right now to fight voter suppression in this country. And we've been in that fight together, and we will stay in that fight together because we are in it to win it. And I want people to know that the other, beautiful aspect of this is that as we fight voter suppression, we understand it's critical to link our issues. So we're raising up, and Ernie Quarles will talk about it from the African American Policy Forum, we're raising up the suppression of our thought, the underlying threat of fascism that is when you're telling people they can't think about certain things, or you can't teach the true racial history of this nation. Oh, we're going to have people on the one side saying, I'm going to lift up my vote, and the other side saying, I'm going to lift up my mind. And I'm going to expand it because democracy is always about a competition of ideas. And if you don't allow all ideas to clearly flourish, then there is no democracy. So it is so wonderful. I'm so excited. Kim Crenshaw and I will be getting on that bus on Saturday. We will be at every single stop. We can't wait to embrace our colleagues in Philly. We can't wait to see the people in Pittsburgh. We can't wait to see the people in Kenosha. We can't wait to be on all those HBCU campuses. We can't wait. We're ready. We're coming. There's a tour coming. Thank you.
I think this is that part where I'm supposed to start singing. There's a train coming. But I will not embarrass myself or torture you. going to be occurring. And I want to be certain that everyone has a complete understanding of what a votercade is. The first time someone heard the term votercade, they said, no, you mean motorcade. And we had to politely let them know that we were talking about creating something new, something different. This is a votercade. And a votercade is a motorcade. However, this motorcade is one of 70, 80 cars, sometimes more. And they're decorated with the signs that you see right here, the Protect Our Vote signs, so the community knows what's about to happen. As the votercade proceeds through these low voter turnout areas, the horns are hitting, going off on the cars, and the blinkers are hitting on the cars, and people are shouting, it's voting season, it's time to vote, wake up, it's time to vote. And as this is going through with the horns and the lights blaring and the signs on it, people come out from their homes because they want to see what's this going on. And they start joining in. And a lot of times it's the younger folks, the kids that are coming out. And what do they see? They'll see this hoop bus with basketballs. Come on and take a shot. And the parents want to see, what are the kids going to? And that's when the educational process starts, telling them this is voting season. Follow the bus. It's going to a polling place.
Yes.
Vote. That's what the votercade is about. There's music that will be blaring, going down and following the votercade to celebrate voting season. And then it comes to Celebration Village.
Yes.
And at Celebration Village is where people can find out what their voting status is. They'll have the John Lewis posters that are here, and they'll be able to go to the logo, to the QR code, and check their voting status. Where are they supposed to vote? Are they registered to vote? This is what that Celebration Village is all about. There'll be free food, free music, as well as the banned book reading and banned book giveaway, and information available on voting rights, particularly with those that may be returning citizens, wondering what is their voting status.
Yes.
The Celebration Village is
Yes.
where they can come and get the answer to those questions. You know, I want to bring up next a person who's been a part of the Celebration Village, been a part of the votercade, been a part of the marchers that are out there that get up with their megaphones and say, there's a voter coming, there's a tour coming. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the National Executive Director of the Rainbow Push Coalition, Bishop Tavis Greene.
Thank you, Attorney Darrell Jones. I am Bishop Tavis Greene, the Acting National Executive Director of the Rainbow Push Coalition. I think we should give our leader, Attorney Barbara Arnwine, a round of applause for this. Dr. Ben Chavis, the brainchild visionary of this initiative, on behalf of Reverend Jesse Jackson, founder and president, who really wanted to be here this morning. Janice, you know how relentless he is. And I got up at 2 o'clock this morning with a command from him to get out on the front line and represent this cause. This is such a critical hour for us. One of the things that we are learning, and I'm just so humbled to have this assignment to represent Reverend Jackson and be beside Attorney Jones and Arnwine and Dr. Ben Chavis, Black Voters Matter, Latasha Brown and Cliff Albright, and our other League of Women Voters, our partners. One of the things that we've learned from January 6th is the only title in our democracy that's higher and superior to the president is that of the voter. We didn't know, perhaps, since the Freedom Bus rides and the Civil Rights Movement in the 60s and 70s, how critical democracy and how fragile it was until we saw live and living colored people trying to pull our democracy apart. And a great democracy does not make it harder to vote than it is to get an assault weapon. It's easier to get some of the most frivolous things in our culture than it is to obtain the right to vote. And what is it so dangerous about Black and brown people who vote? And what's so dangerous about standing in line with a bottle of water to vote, or some food to vote, or showing up early to vote? What's so dangerous about that? Well, the danger is that, as I've learned from Attorney Barbara Online and Reverend Jesse Jackson, is that it shifts the power scale.
Well,
And the have-nots have an opportunity to have their fair share. In this, I've had the opportunity to march with Dr. Chavis and Barbara all over the country,
yes.
alongside Reverend Jesse Jackson. I've learned a right is not what someone gives you, is what someone cannot take away from you.
Well,
That's what this voter motorcade is all about, this arc of voter justice going through these critical areas. It is about restoring the right and the dignity of the voter. The right and the dignity of the voter. If your vote didn't matter, suppressionists wouldn't try to suffocate you.
well.
If your vote didn't matter, insurrectionists wouldn't try to overthrow it. If your vote didn't matter, revisionists wouldn't try to delay it.
Whoa,
If your vote didn't matter, racists wouldn't try to resist it.
whoa,
If your vote didn't matter, corporations wouldn't try to buy it.
whoa.
So we need 10 million more votes.
Yeah,
We need 10 million more votes.
yeah.
The politics of food, the politics of water and equality and equity are on the ballot this time around. 10 million more votes for criminal justice reform. 10 million more votes to raise wages. 10 million more votes for labor rights to organize. 10 million more votes for climate rights and healthcare and jobs and education. But more than that,
Yeah.
10 million more votes to restore our right and our dignity. Our right and our dignity for a more perfect union, for equal protection under the law, and our right for our place and our purpose in this democracy. I too believe when they count, and they must count, and every vote's gonna count, we're gonna be responsible for 10 million more votes. Let's get on the bus.
All right. All right.
Thank you, Bishop Grant. The collection plate will be passed shortly. You know, on this journey for voting rights in the United States, it's important to have partners that you believe in. You can't wonder whether or not they're going to be standing beside you when the fight begins.
That's right.
You can't wonder whether or not they're standing behind you when you need someone to push you up and to steady your spine. You know, we're in this partnership, we're so pleased to have as one of our national partners an organization that's led not from the top down, but from the grassroots up. And we're very pleased today to welcome and walk arm in arm all across this country with the League of Women Voters and its president,
Yes.
Virginia K. Sullivan, who we're going to ask to come up now.
Good morning.
Good
I
morning.
am so happy to be here. And I have to say, many of you might be looking and saying, the League of Women Voters and Transformative Justice Coalition. I just want to say, first and foremost, we're not your grandmother's league anymore. And so
Watch out.
we are a 102-year-old voting rights organization that has made an intentional decision over the past 4 years to center racial equity in our work. And so I say that because it's important to know where you were, where you're headed as
Yes.
well. And I am so grateful and thankful for Barbara Armline, for Transformative Justice Coalition, Rainbow Push Coalition, Dr. Chavis, all of the work that you are doing. We are so thrilled to be partners in this work. And it's critical in this moment. And I will say, sending me up after a bishop is just not fair. But we are thrilled to be here. And one of the reasons is that Barbara and Transformative Justice Coalition, you always come with joy. This is about joy and celebration and voting, but it's also about solidarity,
Yes.
allyship. And one of the reasons that we stand in solidarity with you is because we humbly know, as the League of Women Voters, that Black voters have been the moral conscience of this country since its inception. That it is more important than ever to make sure that every Black voter has the opportunity to have their voice heard. And it is a sad day when America has gotten to the place where it is. But doing this with joy, knowing that we stand in allyship, that we stand in partnership, that we know that there is an America that has so much possibility, even though it has not lived up to its promise for so many of us.
Right.
We still believe in what's possible.
Yes.
And so doing this with joy, with hope, with love, and the dreams of what is possible, what America can look like if it fulfills its promise. And we know that Black voters play a major role in making that happen.
Yes.
I would also say that the other reason that we are here is because as women, we know that our bodies are under attack.
Well,
Our lives are under attack, and that the importance of making sure that women have agency over their lives, their health care decisions, their families, is more critical now than ever. We also know that Black and brown women are most likely to die in childbirth.
yes.
We also know the economic burdens placed on Black and brown women
Yes.
as a result of not having a choice and agency over her healthcare and her life and her bodily autonomy. So this is about so much more. It is literally about life
Yes.
and the lives that people get to choose that they have. But again, doing it with joy and celebration and knowing that we have power. It is about building collective power and making sure that we have the promise and people know that we are the promise of America.
Yes.
That it is not elected leaders who think that they can dictate our lives. No, we dictate their lives and whether or not they have a job. So we are grateful, thankful. We stand humbly in this partnership, Barbara. And I just hope you know how much we love you and the work that you all are doing. Because there will never be a time where I will say no to you. You know that. But grateful for this moment. And I am looking forward to celebrating after the election, the victory and reaching 10 million voters. Thank you.
Yes.
You know, we recently just came out, I think we were in New Orleans last. And as I was preparing to board the plane, I'm almost certain it was New Orleans, I could be mistaken. While I'm standing at the airport national, getting ready to get on the plane, I hear this, Daryl! Daryl! Like, who in the world is yelling my name? Virginia K. Sullivan. I'm on too! Ready to protest.
That's right.
You know, one of our partners, and we always hear you talk about the grassroots, because it really is a grassroots effort that is involved in protecting voting rights. And one of our partners that I've come to just know and admire over the years has been one that has a slogan that just, when I heard it, just stuck with me. It really did. And they would say, respect my vote.
Watch out.
And they would appeal to those younger voters and many of those voters that felt marginalized.
Yeah.
And they're going to tap into it. And they're going to bring them on environmental issues. They're going to bring them on voting rights issues.
Yes.
They're going to tap into the artists and whatever it takes to get a hold and wake up that generation. That was their focus, and that is their focus. And I thought they were just phenomenal coming into 2022. But now they're beyond phenomenal because I know they've added an executive vice president of advocacy and campaign that has just been in the fight and leading the way, and just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful addition to already great organization. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the executive vice president of advocacy and campaign for the Hip Hop Caucus, Ms. Tanya Clinton.
All right, yay!
Well, I always used to say I love being introduced by Barbara, but now I love being introduced by Daryl. And I have to say, it is a joy and a pleasure. Thank you so much, Barbara, for first, and Daryl for putting this tour together.
Yes.
Thank you to all of our partners. Thank you to Dr. Chavis for enabling us to be here and to engage in this tour. You are a legend, and I'm so excited to be able to celebrate what you have done and what you continue to do. It is a pleasure and joy to be able to be here. As was indicated, I am my 5th weekend at the Hip Hop Caucus, and I am thrilled to be here. I have come here because what is going on right now matters. It is critical that we join in partnership with Transformative Justice Coalition, with the League of Women Voters, with Rainbow Push Coalition, with all the National Publishers Association, with everyone, in order to make sure we do get to that 10 million voters. Mm-hmm. The Hip Hop Caucus, as was indicated, we are about really trying to engage. We're all hip hop. We have grown up in this. We are about trying to encourage and to mobilize and to empower our communities. Hip hop is naturally disruptive. That's what we're about. Right. And we're about disrupting that voter suppression, about disrupting what is happening, that people are not civically engaged. We are about disrupting the misinformation and the disinformation that is happening. Yes. That's who the Hip Hop Caucus is. We are about engaging that generation, hip hop generation, and all of our BIPOC community in order to make sure that we know, that we educate them about the issues. We know that climate justice matters. It is our BIPOC communities that are being impacted by the petrochemicals and the fields and all of the variety of issues that are impacting the health of our community. Mm-hmm. I have asthma, and I talk about this, and I kind of wonder, and I look around, and people are thinking, why are there so many people with all of these allergies and asthma? And you look in our communities and say, what's right next to me? Oh, there's this field of just waste that is put here because other communities didn't want it next to their communities. But it's the BIPOC communities that are being impacted. It's our generation that matters, that we have to understand why it is we have to be engaged and understand that climate justice is our justice. We are engaged in voting rights, of course. Respect my vote. That's right, respect my vote. You know why? Because our vote matters. Our vote is about empowerment. How do we change the issues that impact our community? About climate justice. How do we change the issues of education? About why it is that we're banning books when we can't have freedom of thought. We change that through the fundamental right to vote. Don't talk to me. I always tell people, I'm going to give you the hand. Did you vote? All right, now we can talk. We can talk about how it is that we're going to make sure that we're changing the landscape of what it looks like in our democracy. That's what we're about. The Hip Hop Caucus was birthed over 18 years ago. We're celebrating right now our 18th anniversary. This is a celebration for us. And the reason it's so exciting is because think about it. At 18, you can vote. And so we're saying, hey, we've been out there telling y'all to respect our vote. Respect us. We have been here 18 years trying to engage the hip hop community. And we're going to continue to do that 18 more years later. Reverend Yearwood, our founder and president, has been in this fight, as you all know, and I'm so proud to be here representing him in this space. And we are hopeful and just joyful that we're going to be on that bus.
Oh, yes.
With Barbara, with Kimberly, with all those, with Daryl, with Dr. Chavis, with everyone who's going to be involved. Yes, Bishop, I'm so glad I didn't follow you, but thank you. We are going to be on that bus with everyone. And we hope that you will engage with us. Respect our vote. We're going to be out there on our tour as well. That's why we're in partnership, because we're going to come together. And we're hoping that we will make sure that we are fighting for our liberation. Because the Hip Hop Caucus, as I said, is about mobilizing. It's about making sure that we have hope. It's also about ensuring that we're in community. And we're going to continue to partner with the Transformative Justice Coalition and with all of our partners here to ensure that we are making that transformative justice, and that we are going to ensure that we all get on that bus. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Get on that bus is a phrase that Bishop Grant has been saying on every call that we have, telling everybody, get on the bus, get on the bus, get on the bus. But, you know, it's my pleasure to now bring up one of our other national partners. And, you know, this person, you know, is a history maker.
All right now.
In and of herself. And it seems like every time there's something that needs to be addressed, concern that might, looks like it's going to take something off the railway, we need to straighten it out. This phone call goes out, and all of a sudden, that crooked track straightens out. So it's all right, we got it under control. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to bring up the president and executive director of the National Coalition of Concerned Black Men. Its first woman to serve in that capacity,
Yes.
Dr. Karen McCray.
Yes.
Thank you, Daryl, Barbara, Dr. Chavis, everyone. It is a pleasure and an honor to be with you today on behalf of the National Organization of Concerned Black Men. We are 47 years in.
Whoa.
And yes, I am the first female to lead this organization, and I am grateful for that opportunity. At CBM, we serve youth, children, Black men and boys in particular, with approximately 15,000 members in 33 chapters across the United States and abroad. We are about the business of supporting, implementing change for Black men and boys in our country. We are here because representation matters. We are here because African American voters made up approximately 12.5% of the 2020 electorate, yet only 87% of Black men voted, and 77% in 2016, 87 in 2020. Yeah, I believe that we're not done until we get all of them. Every Black man and boy that is eligible to vote must vote. And we must vote because Black women have historically led the way. And it's time for Black men to take their place and assist, because when Black men vote, healthcare changes, police reform changes, community engagement changes. And when Black men vote, more importantly, our court systems change.
Yes.
More importantly, our communities, our families, and our school systems across the country change. CBM looks forward to joining our brothers on the road, and we thank you, Barbara, Ben, and Daryl, as well as our other partners, for the opportunity to join you in 10 million Black voters more. Because we matter, and it's time we get out there and get on the bus, as Bishop Grant
said. Thank you, Karen, Dr. McCray. You know, we're just over 34 days to people's final opportunity to vote. Day 35, that opportunity to vote won't exist.
Mm-hmm.
It won't exist. We know right now that there are, as Bishop Grant said, a lot of issues that are on the ballot. The biggest poll that is out now says that the ultimate issue that is on the ballot in the minds of Americans is democracy itself. The freedom of speech, the freedom of reproductive health, the freedom to be able to cast a meaningful ballot. Ladies and gentlemen, on this Arc of Voter Justice Tour, we're so excited to lift up the First Amendment that will be a part of this tour. And many of us have heard of the Freedom Riders, but I'm so pleased to introduce today the African American Policy Forum as they talk about freedom riders to freedom readers. Please welcome Ernest Quarles, Dr. Ernest Quarles from the African American Policy Forum.
Thank you so much, Daryl. Thank you, Barbara, Dr. Chavis, and our other illustrious and dedicated partners. My name is Ernest Quarles, and I'm honored really to speak to you here this morning on behalf of Kimberly Crenshaw, Luke Harris, and the African American Policy Forum as we launch our From Freedom Riders to Freedom Readers, the Books Unbanned Tour. Across the country, we have seen a coordinated effort to silence the thought, literature, and voices of Black people. The hateful drive to suppress, to punish, to silence Black voices stretches from the earliest days of enslavement to current efforts to ban critical race theory, the 1619 Project, and Black literature. The book banning fire is now spreading at an unprecedented rate and sinking to depths that were previously unfathomable. Dozens of children's books had been censored, including biographies of our civil rights heroes, Rosa Parks, Ruby Bridges, and Martin Luther King Jr., and titles from our most beloved and celebrated authors, like Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. We must recall that teaching a slave to read was a crime. Agitation against enslavement was sedition. And even after slavery, Blacks had no right to testify against white people, no right to state our case, no right to use words or knowledge to advance our rights and well-being. The instinct to suppress, to punish, to silence stretches back to the earliest days of enslavement, all the way to the latest efforts to ban critical race theory. We cannot allow a narrow-minded minority to determine which ideas and stories our children will be exposed to in public schools and libraries. Just as our civil rights heroes resisted the indignities of segregation by becoming freedom riders and opening freedom schools, we must become freedom readers to resist this attempt to relegate our history, stories, and knowledge to oblivion. The Constitution clearly protects the right to knowledge, the right to understand, the right to learn, period. It is especially indicative of the deterioration of our democracy that we even have to come to a moment where we have to do an unbanned book tour. Where nonprofit organizations have to defend ideas about literacy education. That's why we are proud to support this tour as it goes through 26 stops, where we will be passing out 15 different titles for children, young adults, and adults. And we hope that this is just the beginning. We must confront the tour to register 10 million more Black voters.
Yes.
Now more than ever,
Yes.
our democracy needs us to be engaged. And for us to be engaged, we need to be informed. Let's get on that bus.
All right.
So if any further information is needed regarding the tour and the celebration villages, the times, the dates, all of that information is available at. That's okay. All of that information is available at votingrightsalliance.org. Votingrightsalliance.org. We'll have all that information that's available at that site. An alternate site that will also have that information is tjcoalition.org. tjcoalition.org. Either of those sites, you'll be able to see the full listing of the tours. You'll be able to see the information for where the tour will be located. And you can also send information, inquiries to the Transformative Justice information from that site. You can send us an email if you have specific questions regarding the site of the tour that you want to visit, Celebration Village, you would like to be a part of. At this point, if there are questions that for any of our speakers, panelists, sponsors, partners, we will be entertaining those questions now. Did you want to come up for the questions?
I'll help. Any questions? Any questions? All right. I did want to just say one other thing. You know, there's 3 battles that we're raising, that we're fighting right now. One is to make sure every voter is registered. Every eligible person is registered as a voter. The second is to make sure every registered voter knows what their status is. Because we have all these states that are purging voters off the list, putting people on, quote, suspension lists, putting people on inactive lists. And voters are being denied their right to vote when they show up and are told you're on the inactive list and you better cure, that means correct whatever problem got you on the inactive list. And usually that's because somebody engaged in voter caging. Sent that little ugly postcard that looks like junk mail saying to the voter that they, that you need, that we just want to verify that you still live at your current address. And oftentimes the postcard is so weird looking, so junky looking, that even the Supreme Court acknowledged that 60% of voters put it in the trash. And then they end up on a suspension list. So we say, check your voter registration. The third problem is that so many people who are registered aren't able, because of all the blocks that we saw in Texas with their fights over people's ballots being returned absentee, and people saying that those ballots were, quote, invalid, that we know that a lot of people don't vote because they're discouraged. We want to say we're going to encourage you, because don't ever give up. Remember that this fight is about you. And so we're here to fight. We're in the courts. We're doing everything we can. The court just heard the Murrow case, where the new Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson raised some points and poignant questions. And we will continue that fight. We're going to continue the legislative fight. But we want to say to voters, if you feel that you're being blocked, go to vote.org, go to your League of Women Voters, go to your Hip Hop Caucus, go to us, come to us. We will help you. We're out there to fight for you, to defend you. The next thing is those who are formerly incarcerated. 18 million is estimated. People who are formerly incarcerated of all races are confused about their right to vote. 18 million who are eligible to vote don't vote because they don't know what their rights are. That's a failure of government, right? It's not an individual failure. That's a failure of government. And what we want to say to every person who is formerly incarcerated, that we want you to make sure that your vote is restored. We want to make sure that you're encouraged to vote. So go to vote.org, go to the Campaign Legal Center, and find out those rights. And we are actively on this tour. On this tour, we're bringing that information. We want to clear up the confusion. We want to help people who want to be registered to vote, who are formerly incarcerated. So we want people to know that we're bringing that assistance on this tour. And the last thing, for the 35% of Black voters who don't vote in various elections, Ben, we got a word for them, don't we? Come on, you bring that word.
First, I want to thank our technician who's
Yes.
live streaming this, so
Yes.
thousands of people around the country are watching this
Yes.
press conference. Just let me say that I've also asked my publishers
Yes.
to get the list of people who are registered to vote, and then get the list of people who did not vote. We're going to publish it in our newspapers as a further incentive to let everybody know this is, you can't play around with this vote.
That's right.
We can't take this for granted.
That's right.
It's public record. So as a service to our community, we want to make sure that in 2022 midterm elections that nobody will, because if we're going to publish their status, whether or not you voted or not in the last election, and give them an opportunity to vote this time. That 35% in our community that has taken their votes for granted, that 35% that needs further encouragement, and I like the joy and the hope, that's what we're going to do. And we're not publishing a list to punish anybody. We just think that that's a way to reawaken everybody to how critical every vote, every single vote counts. In a lot of these congressional districts, in the senatorial races, governor races, as well as some of the national races, these votes in our precincts can make the big difference.
Yes.
So I'm just appealing to everybody to get on the bus. I'm appealing to everybody to go out and vote early if
Yes,
you can. I'm
please.
appealing to everybody to check your status.
Yes.
Go to vote.com.
Vote.org.
Vote.org. Go to vote.org and check your status. You can do it on your cell phone. You can do it on your laptop.
Yes.
Check your status.
That's right.
Don't let the forces of oppression, the forces of repression and suppression take away your right to vote. Get on the bus.
Yes. And, okay. And just one last word, young voters. Tanya talked about the hip hops. And we know that Tanya was part of our training that we just did for Gen Z and millennial voters to become champions in their communities to fight nationwide for the right to vote for young people. Don't forget, the largest cohort of voters now are between 18 and 40 years of age. First time in the history of this nation.
Yes.
And what is significant is that the baby boomers, the 60s and overs, have dominated the government and the electorate for years. Well, that's about to change. A lot of this voter suppression is happening because of that change. Because the younger generation has a different worldview than the baby boomers. And so it is critical for us, as we do this tour, you can bet young voters will be at the forefront of this. They're writing me like crazy. They're like, can you hire me? I'm ready. I want to get on the bus. Can I get on the bus? They want to come, young voters. So we want young voters out there to know we love you. Yes, it's your time. Yes, we want to see you run for office. Yes, we want your power of your thought, the power of your commitment to a just, racially just and socially just nation to prevail. So join us. We can't wait to see you on the bus. Thank you.
You know, as we prepare to bring this conference to a close, one of the things that people oftentimes overlook is that what Barbara was lifting up with regards to the young voters.
Yes.
What's happening with a lot of the voter suppression that you're seeing across the country is that there's an element within our election cycle that realizes that the generation right now, these millennials and Gen Zers, in 2024, they will be the majority. They will have the largest block of voters in the country. And what the fears, what place a lot of concern and fear, is that they realize that this generation that's coming, it is more diverse,
Yes.
it is more multicultural,
Yes.
multi-religious, tolerant, and inclusive. And that's intimidating.
Yes.
I can think of no better way to close this out, because we know that during the 80s, that there was somebody that was calling for a rainbow coalition to come together. And what this new generation represents, this multicultural, multiracial, is a coalition of a rainbow of sorts. Bishop Tavis Grant, could you please come and close us out?
And also, can we pay tribute to John Lewis?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We're gonna have all of our partners to come so that those in social media are watching around the world. This has been a tremendous press conference today. All of our partners and our collaborators and stakeholders in this. This is what democracy looks like. And as we close today, it's been made a lot about Gen Z and millennials. Don't vote is a vote. If you don't vote, just will stay low. If you don't vote, housing will become more unavailable. If you don't vote, economic and social justice will be delayed. Our greatest weapon now going into the midterms and into 24 is the weapon called impatience. We can't wait. That's why we got an early vote. We can't wait. That's why we got to know our status. 18 million must show up in the midterms, because this is what democracy looks like.
Yes.
And it doesn't just reflect what democracy looks like, but Barbara, this is what good trouble looks like. Good trouble looks like.
Yes.
You know, a short period of time before John Lewis made his transition, he stood here in this city
Yes, he did.
with
Yes, he
resilience and strength and fortitude, face what was in front of him, refusing to look behind.
Yes.
Here we are today, carrying out that dream and carrying that torch to get in some good trouble. We're prepared for whatever comes our way.
Yes.
Because the road has not always been easy, it's been better. One of the things we've learned is tough times don't last, tough people do.
Yeah.
So we want you to join us. 10 million more is our goal as we're ready to get on the bus.
Yes, yes.
Everybody say, get on the bus.
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 I'm ready to get on the bus. Thank you so very much.